Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here, and welcome to the Canon XF400 and 405 video tutorial series. In this video, we're going to be talking about audio recording with the camera system, and specifically 4-channel audio recording using both the camera body and the camera body with the handle unit. So let's get started. So today we are at Roots, which is a vineyard and a winery and a tasting room. We're in the tasting room right now. And let's just start by talking about the internal recording on the camera system itself. We have a built-in stereo mic, which is recording to, if you need it to, channels 3 and 4. We have a mic terminal here that is on the camera body itself. And then, of course, with the handle unit attached, we have 2 professional XLR inputs. So those are balanced inputs for audio recording. So let's go ahead and take a look at the audio menu first so we can take a look at some of the things that are important to setting up your audio in the camera. And while I'm in the audio setup menu right now, the first thing I want to do is actually jump over here, and I'm going over to the first menu under recording setup. And I'm going to go into MPEG audio format. We have 2 options, AAC 16-bit 2-channel, and we have LPCM 16-bit 4-channel. AAC is a more compressed format, and it only allows you to record to 2 channels. So generally for me, I would choose LPCM, and that would be the way I would set up the camera in almost any shooting scenario. And that also allows me, which we'll see in a moment, to record scratch audio to the built-in stereo mic on the camera system, which is really great, especially when you're not using the handle unit and you're just going to use the camera, let's say rigged to a gimbal or something like that. So we're going to step out of that menu there, and we are now going to go to the audio setup menu, which is the next one over. So right now I have a boom mic plugged into input 1. And by default, that's generally going to be recorded on channel 1 of what's being recorded by your camera system. But let's say I wanted to record what's coming in through this microphone to both channels as opposed to just one channel on the camera. Well, we can do that, and we can also create what's called a safety where we record to that second channel at a either higher, which you wouldn't for a safety, or lower volume so that you have a safety track. So I'm going to go in here under audio setup, and I'm going to choose channel to input. And the way this works, it's a little confusing to understand, is what you are choosing is what is being recorded to channel to. Okay, so this is not input to, this is what's being recorded to channel to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to route input 1, which is where I'm plugged into right now, to make sure that that recording is also recorded to channel 2. It's already been recording to channel 1, and it will do that by default by being plugged in there. But I'm now also routing that recording or that audio to channel 2. So when I step out of the menu here and we take a look at my meters down here on the bottom right, right now we're just seeing levels for channel 1. And the reason that we're only seeing levels, and let me just go ahead and close this screen for a second, is the audio controls on the handle unit right now are set up so only channel 1 has any levels at all. So it's set right now to 5, and we have channel 2, and that is set to 0. So as I start to increase my recording level on channel 2, and I'll open up the screen again so you can see that, you can see that now we are starting to see levels on channel 2. But what if we wanted to use a second microphone with that input 2 on the handle unit? Well, I have a wireless receiver here from my sound recorders for this production, so we're going to use that. And I'm actually wearing 2 microphones right now. I'm using one lav right here on the top, which is for our production itself, and the second microphone on the bottom is actually going to transmit to this wireless receiver that I have and I'm going to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this wireless receiver. I'm going to plug it into our input 2 on the side of the handle unit, and that way that's plugged in. This is already on, my transmitter is already on, and now what I need to do is I need to patch this correctly. So I'm going to go into the menu, Because remember before, what we were doing is we were taking this boom mic and we were taking it and not only recording it to channel 1, but we're also recording it to channel 2. So I need to reroute that. So now I'm going to make sure that what is plugged into input 2 is what gets recorded to channel 2, and that is the wireless transmitter and receiver. I'm going to step out of that. It's also important when you're using different types of microphones that you go over to your controls on the side of the camera system and you make sure that they are set up correctly. So for this particular boom mic here, sometimes called a shotgun mic, we have it set up to phantom power. So we are feeding it a 48-volt phantom power to this microphone. But for the wireless transmitter and receiver, we do not need to set it up for phantom power. We would set that up as either a mic or a line level. In this case, we have it set to mic level. So that's all set up. Of course, at the top here for channel 1 and channel 2, we can set that to M for manual, which is what we want. So we can actually go ahead and change our recording level manually and see our meters. If we set it to A, that's automatic gain control. That's all kinds of problems unless you're using that for reference audio. So let's just leave that the way it is. And now we can see, if we take a look at our levels here, that we have levels both for our input 1, which is our boom mic, and then we have levels here for our input 2, which is the lavalier that I'm wearing. So those are basically the key things that you need to know in terms of setting up your microphones in terms of input 1 and input 2. The last real thing I want to show you on this particular menu has to do with our channel 3, channel 4 input. And we have two choices here. By default, we are set to the built-in mic or the mic terminal. So what that means is if we do not have an external microphone attached, such as this, to the mini jack, the 1/8 inch jack, which is on this side of the camera body over here, then it will use the built-in stereo microphone and it will record to channels 3 and 4. But if I do plug a mic like this Video Mic Pro in, it will basically override the built-in stereo mic and it will record this to channels 3 and 4. The last option that you have is you have input terminal, and we could in fact record audio that is plugged into these XLR inputs to channels 3 and 4 if we wanted to. For more information on that, please refer to your user manual. Now, the last things that I want to show you related to audio have to do with and are on different menus here. One of them is on the second menu under audio setup, and that is the input 1/2 limiter. If you've never used a limiter, basically the concept is you are going into a shooting environment where you do not know what the dynamics of the audio are going to be. And the last thing you want to do in recording audio, especially digital audio, is clip, and that is go above 0 on your meter. And a limiter, essentially, even though it may eliminate some frequencies from your recording, will listen to what's going on and the input of audio that's coming into your camera, and it will essentially clamp your audio in a way so that you do not clip your audio. It's not ideal in a sound recordist mixer situation, but if you're running and gunning, or you don't have time and don't know what the dynamics of your audio are going to be, you may want to activate that limiter in certain situations. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is on the monitoring options page here, and it has to do with the headphone volume. A lot of people don't talk about this, but please trust your meters. We have a tendency when we are in louder environments to increase our headphone volume, and when we are in quieter environments, we decrease it. But that is not going to change the most important thing that you should be looking at when it comes to your audio recording, and that is your meters. Your meters never lie, so trust your meters. You, of course, have to trust your ears as well to listen for things that are in your recording that shouldn't be there. But the meters are going to tell you what your levels are. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of the audio recording functionality on the XF400 and 405. Thanks for watching.